while I find that the movie was okay, it was perfectly fine. It also was just it was lacking. Like it tried to be meta and then try and be meta by making up for its mediocrity by announcing its meta-ness. But I feel like it was missing. And I'm not just saying it in comparison to the first film because the other two films were also sort of just okay. I mean, but the storyline hung and the philosophy hung so much better in them. And I felt like the characters, we just didn't really get that much about them. It was, I mean, Neo Trinity, I get it, they come back, but it was like, who are these people? Really, it was just they Force Awakened almost hand to hand. They literally almost did Force Awakens twice.
All right.
JP, you don't agree?
I don't agree. I enjoyed the Matrix. Well, I'm a bit biased because I'm a Keanu Reeves fan, and I really love the Matrix, especially the first one. But I think we are missing stuff because we're building up to more things. You know, I think we're going to see more of them. So it's just a taste of things to come. I think what we're seeing is the opposite of the first three Matrix. You know how the first three Matrix was. The first one was the best. The second one was, yeah, that was still cool, but the third one was like, what's with the Dragon Ball Z fight? You know. But I think what's happening here now is the complete opposite. Like in the MCU, they give you like an okay movie, and then like a wow movie, and then they're gonna give us like a mind blown movie. So that's what I think.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
boy.
mean, if they're doing that, I mean, we're never going to get to the second and third one because this is not going to get funded enough. Which the box office is
Yeah.
already looking like that. Not going to be
It's
funded enough to be able to
yeah.
do another one, and that's. I think that's probably where the problem is. There might be an assumption that they're going to make more, and as a result, like, and again, they called it out. They're like, "Oh, this is a cash grab." Why do you make sequels? But I just felt, yo, you guys, this was so
Yeah.
half-assed and unnecessary.
First 45 minutes I was quite interested. And when it started getting really meta, particularly that conversation between the new Smith and Neo, and they started talking about making a fourth Matrix computer game, and then they dropped the Warner Brothers thing. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that popped me almost right out of the movie. That was too
It's two on
wink
the
wink,
nose, exactly.
too on the nose, but I was still kind of with it. Like I was intrigued by this premise that Neo was plugged back in, that he had somehow the Matrix was using his previous experiences to hide it within a computer game. To use the computer game to kind of cover his experience. So he had flashbacks. Oh, it was all just part of the computer game. But I thought some of that stuff was rather clever, and I thought, okay, where this is going. Early in the piece, I struggled with the Morpheus character because you're walking in the boots of an iconic Lawrence Fishburne performance, and I never quite got what he was exactly. I really liked the Bugs girl. I thought she was one of the better performances. Of course, I am a bit like JP. I'm with Kenu and Trinity, Kenu and Carrie. I thought they were good. I mean, they could sleepwalk through these roles. They know them
And
very
they
well.
did. And they
No, I give them a bit more credit than that. I struggled towards the end of the movie. I noticed towards the end, about 2/3 of the way through, right? So I was pretty much with this movie for most of it. 2/3 way, and I never really figured out why until today when I was thinking about it, right? They get to this point of the story where basically they're out now. They're out of the Matrix, and they're in whatever Io or something, whatever the modern
Yeah,
form of Zion
Ion.
is. And
Zion without a Z and an N.
so we've seen, we've seen the Matrix, and to be brutally honest, it wasn't all that bad, right? Particularly when you started seeing clips of the old Matrix, you know how they were inserting clips, and you
Yeah.
saw how
Yeah.
yucky and horrible and great it looked. To tell you the truth, this wasn't all that bad, right? Then they get to Zion. Well, this is part 2. I don't even want stupid name. It was a dumb name. They get to Zion part 2, and they're growing strawberries, and the computers are getting on with the human beings and the robots. And then suddenly they turn to Neo, and Neo says, "I need to go back and get Trinity." And Jada Pinkett says, "You're risking too much." And he goes, "I don't care. I want to get Trinity." I thought, do you really need to go get Trinity? Do you really need to go get Trinity? Jada Pinkett's kind of right. This is not a bad setup, right? I know that you were uncomfortable and you lacked a lot of soul and you lacked meaning in that Matrix, but you were going to the coffee shop and Trinity had a family and people were happy, brainstorming stupid ideas. You know, it wasn't as ugly as the previous Matrix, and now you come to Zion and they look like they're doing pretty well as well. Do you really need to go get Trinity? Or you've been a bit of a selfish prick. That's what I was feeling.
I feel like that's part of what I felt was missing in this, because I felt like what is the real stakes? Like what is the actual battle here? Like you're talking about, like, even in connection to people being able to get released versus not be released, and I know they talked about it in terms of, like, now it's based off of people's feelings, which, okay, obviously was a callback to social media, and it was just like, yo, if what is happening in Zion that the machines want to destroy again? Like, are we restarting the whole program in totality, or is it?
I think I I think even because there are a lot of programs in the Matrix that also have sentience and they're also chained up.
Right,
So I think it's now more about
the combination of the
free
two.
it's more about really free will, whether you're a human or a sentient program. They just want to get out of the system of controls.
Here's one of the ideas I struggle with in this, or not another idea, but ongoing. It basically, the Wachowski's premise in this one is the same as the premise in the first one. Was if you conform to society, you're trapped.
Yeah,
And when they got to 2 and 3, they start to unpack that. Actually, is that correct? Like, is that actually? It's a very, when you're in university, you think a revolution, breaking down all forms of conformity, breaking down all ideas of being social, bees in the hive. And then when you get a little older, you realize that society needs lots of little bees to conform so that things can happen and the functional things of life can take place. And it felt like in that series, the first series, it started with this very idealistic, he's the one, it's time for revolution. When it got to 2 and 3, we got to this, we opened up the idea and said, actually, it's not all that simple. Right? The machines and the humans actually depend on one another, and there has to be some kind of
cohesion.
Getting on with each other, right? And revolution, even though one of them is called Matrix Revolution, is actually a very scary proposition. Historically, most revolutions do not work.
Yes.
We get to 4, and we're right back where we started.
Right.
We're right back where we started. Instead of branching up into new ideas and finding new ways of exploring stuff. And that was just, to me, left me a bit flat.
let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe. Subscribe.
Die, die, or die.